Have a look out there and see if you can tell me what day of the week it is. Is it a Monday? Is it a Wednesday? Any amateur photographer will tell you that them's is Saturday conditions. Today I've come to Windermere. I am just outside Waterhead near Ambleside, so I'm right at the northern end of the lake. And we'll come back in a minute to why I'm here. But first, a little bit more on the conditions on this lovely Saturday morning. It is very overcast, it's very grey, there's no light about at all. It is what we landscape photographers call a bit of a black and white day. Rubbish. There's a bit of drizzle about this morning, and so I've covered my camera in a microfiber towel. My 6D is moderately weather sealed. I got the telephoto lens on and I was just taking a photograph across the lake towards the misty hills in the distance. But unfortunately, it's a bit of a nothing shot. I think the problem for me is that there's no strong focal point, there's no subject to the photograph that the eye can settle on. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about why I've come here specifically this morning. You see, the thing is, this week I've been thinking about how I can take my photography to the next level. And I started to make comparisons about amateurs like myself and professional photographers. And one of the conclusions that I came to was the way that professional photographers approach their photography. In many cases, professionals have a purpose to their photography. They go out and there's a reason for them to take their photographs. And often us amateurs, it's the process of just being out and taking photographs that drives us forward. But I was thinking, perhaps if I had a bit more purpose to my photography, that might help me to get to the kind of next level. That first shot didn't really work, so I'm going to pop the wide angle on and try something else. My eye has been drawn to this group of trees here. I think it makes a lovely shape. And because we're just at the end of winter, actually yesterday was the first day of spring, there's still no leaves on it, so you can see the structure of the trees. And so with the wide angle lens at 17mm, I could just about fit all of that in. Now, the sky's very bright and the foreground is quite dark. I can't use graduated filters, obviously, so I'm having to bracket. And I'm overexposing by a stop and then bracketing a stop either side. While we're on the subject of the wide angle lens, I need to make a decision about it. I need to make a decision if I'm going to buy it or not. And the big problem for me at the moment is that it's a difficult decision between buying the 17-40 or buying the 16-35, which is a later lens and much sharper, but also much more expensive. The problem that I have is that once my 24-70 is back, that is going to be my standard lens. That's going to be the lens that I use by default. And I will only be getting the wide angle lens out of the bag on extreme cases when I need to fit in a wider field of view. And so if I spend the extra money on a 16-35, that's just going to sit in the bag just the same as the 17-40. And that's going to be a bit of a waste of money. On the other hand, the main reason for me going full frame in the first place was so that I could invest in L-series lenses. And therefore it seems a bit silly not to go for the best quality lens that I can actually get my hands on. Okay, let's get back to my reason for being here today and adding purpose to my photography. As you know, I have a website, and that website is there for me to showcase my photos, somewhere for me to host my blog, and even somewhere where I have a shop and that I try and sell a few prints. And I want people to come to that website, and people aren't going to be able to find that website unless I come up in Google searches. Now, if you type in the search term Lake District Landscape Photography, I come 107th in that list, and that's not high enough. People aren't going to scroll down to the 11th page to find me. So what I want to do is I want to do some work on my website that's going to increase my searchability, if you like, so I come higher in the Google rankings, ideally landing in the top 10 results on the very first page. Now, I know enough about SEO to know that these days it isn't just enough to add decent titles and descriptions. Your website has to be full of rich content. And so I need more content that is about Lake District landscape photography. One of the things I'm always trying to do is to help people out, try and let them benefit from my experience and what I've learned. So what I've decided to do to try and kill two birds with one stone is to create a Lake District location guide. What I'm going to do is I'm going to divide the Lake District into 5 regions: the north, the south, the east, the west, and the centre, where I am today. And I'm going to pick my 6 favourite locations for each region and write up a short description about that location. And hopefully that will improve my Google ranking for the term Lake District Landscape Photography. This is the shot that I've been thinking of specifically for today. We've got this rock here in Windermere and the view looking out over the lake towards the fells on the other side. Now, this is a bit of a black and white day, as I've said, so this is perfect for long exposures. We've got the water flowing around the rock, creating that milky effect. And this is the shot that I was thinking of for one of my locations in probably the southern Lake District. We're right on the border here. I've actually found it quite difficult to get the exposure right on this shot. What I've had to do is set my camera up really high so that I get separation between the top of the rock and the shoreline on the other side of the lake. And what that means is that I can now no longer see the LCD on the top of the camera that is showing how long my exposure has been running for. Now, I think the optimum time for this exposure is around 100 seconds, and so what I've had to do is count 100 seconds in my head. And I guess when I get home, I'll see how close I got. My final shot of the day, I've come round to the other side of the mound and I'm shooting along the shore. And again, I'm having to bracket. The sky's too bright, and because of the trees, I can't use a grad. But I also want to do a long exposure to smooth out the water. And so my base exposure is at 10 seconds. And that's going up to 20 seconds for my one stop above and back down to 5 seconds for my one stop below. One of the great things about YouTube is if I make a statement that I'm going to do something, such as create a location guide for the Lake District, then you guys will hold me to that. Now, I haven't even started writing that, but this needs to be ready in 9 days' time when this video goes live. So I'd better pack up my gear, head off and start writing.